First of all, I'm delighted to be here on behalf of Salesforce.com and to share with you some of our ideas around philanthropy, our CSR programs, and also on sustainability. You know, about 100 years ago or so now, there was the famous oil industrialist John Paul Getty once said that you only needed to do three things in life to be happy, successful, and wealthy. Just three things. The first thing you had to do was to get up early every day. The second thing you needed to do to be happy, successful, and wealthy was to work hard every day. And the third thing you needed to do to be successful, happy, and wealthy was to find oil. Now, actually, he was wrong. I think the days where you just start a company and just drive the company for profit and for gain are over. I think the zeitgeist of today is that you can do well as a business, but you can do good at the same time. And I think we're seeing a massive change in the world today. And we certainly believe that just a little bit of giving can radically change the world that we live in. Perhaps you'll allow me just a minute or so just to explain who Salesforce.com are. We're a very young company. We only started 11 years ago with a very simple idea. And that idea was, why can't computer business applications be like Amazon.com? When we log on to Amazon and we order a digital camera and we add accessories or have it gift wrapped, have it sent to our home address, our business address, it's very easy to do, and just about every 12-year-old child can do that, provided they have a credit card. So why is it when we come into the office on a Monday morning, all our computer systems are so expensive and so difficult to use? They should be like Amazon.com. And we started off with that simple idea just over 11 years ago. Today we have 104,000 customers, and as Per mentioned, we have a $2.2 billion revenue run rate. We have a market cap about $20 billion, and we're growing at around 40% a year. I suspect we have some customers in the audience here. We have about 6,500 employees, and we expect to add another 800 employees in the next quarter. Business is good, and it's going really good. But I'm not here to talk to you about Salesforce.com in terms of its business sense. I'm here to talk to you about what we believe in from a corporate social responsibility. On day one, when we started the company, because many of us had come from other software companies where there was virtually no philanthropic focus, we felt that there was a better model, that we could have integrated philanthropy. And so right on day one, we decided to put 1% of our equity, 1% of our product or profit, and also 1% of our staff time. Now, it was pretty easy to do with 3 people because the product wasn't very good, we had no profit, and the equity wasn't worth anything. But we started it right on day one. Now we have, as I said, 6,500 people. The company is valued at $20 billion, and we give everybody in our company 6 days a year to work on non-for-profits. Our only rule is no religion and no politics. Outside of that, it is down to them in their local community to engage with people who are less fortunate than we are. And at the end of the day, we employ a lot of computer scientists, typically well-educated, middle class, who really do have it rather good. About 85% of our staff take the 6 days a year. And what we find is not only do they take the time to help people who are less fortunate, they also bring along their wives, their brothers, their sisters, their husbands, their aunties, their uncles, their children. And we get this amplification of focus on some of the world's tough problems. Today we run about 13,000 non-for-profits for free. And what we mean by running them for free, it means what we want to do is allow them to use the Salesforce.com infrastructure so that they don't spend the hard-earned money that they bring into their organizations on computers and computer software. So if you today are involved in a non-for-profit, we would be delighted to help you run your computer systems for free. As I say, about 13,000 companies do that today in about 100 countries. Just to give you a couple of examples very briefly of some of the organizations who use Salesforce. There's a company in the UK called Teach First, who I'm passionately involved in. They have about 1,000 Salesforce users, and what they do is they focus on getting the best and smartest graduates, not to go on gap years, not to go touring around Sweden or Scandinavia or around the Far East, but to go and work for a minimum of 2 years in tough inner city schools. The criteria is 1/3 of the children have to be on free school meals, and 4 or 5 teachers will go and work there to try and change the culture of the school ground, and maybe help some of those kids who are maybe going down the wrong side of the road to get enthused around subjects and use their intellect to gain academic success and hopefully escape from their challenged circumstances. An organization called Samkap, who focus on educating women in Africa, big Salesforce users. Send a Cow, also in Africa, where this is a charity is focused on just literally sending a cow to small villages that can radically transform some people's lives just by that simple act. We've just signed 5,000 users at the Alzheimer's organization, and a homeless link as well. We help them with Salesforce on iPads, where they will maybe find somebody who's run away from home, who's at the local station, and be able to pick them up, show them maybe an email from their mother, their father, their loved one, and encourage them to come back home as opposed to going on the run. So how does it work? We allow, as I say, our staff to spend six days a year, and we do some matching grants. So if they raise some money, then as a company we will also put some money in to whatever they personally are excited by. It is not what the CEO wants them to spend their time on, not what I want. It's what passionately they feel from the heart that they want to spend time on. And whatever that may be, provided it is for non-for-profit, then we allow them to take their time off. Possibly one of the exciting things that we did also was we were presenting our 1-1-1 model, and a certain Larry Page of Google fame was in the audience, and we were delighted to then see that Google have followed the same philanthropic model and now are putting billions of dollars back into doing good at the same time. But that's on the CSR side. I think there are 2 angles I want to just finally touch on. One is doing good in the community, but the other thing is that we also have to be very conscious of the resource that we consume. I think it is actually quite scary when you start to look at our lifestyles and how much resource of this planet that we're consuming. So the other focus Salesforce has is because of its cloud computing architecture, we run a fraction of the computers that typically you do if you buy your own computers. If we run 100,000 customers today, if we were running them in the old style of buying computers, we'd probably need about 150,000 computer servers to run. Salesforce runs our 150,000 on 3,000 computers. So our carbon footprint is orders of magnitude better than the traditional model. But that in itself is not enough. So what we do, we have an application that sits inside of Salesforce from a company called Cloud Apps. And they focus on how much electricity is being used, how much water, how much waste. And they can divvy that back out and slice and dice it by building, by department, right down to the individuals, because we know people's expense claims. So we know roughly the carbon footprint of every individual in the company. And then we start to put competitions together. How do you drive down your carbon footprint? How do you stop from being a 2-planet consumption person down to something which is sustainable, which is 1 planet? And this is something that we haven't solved yet, but we're working very, very hard on getting our own company footprint down quite dramatically. So in summary to my comments before I have a chat with Per, we have a fundamental belief that you can do good as a business, you can do well as a business, and you can do good at the same time. You do not have to wait until you have a certain amount of profit, or you're a certain amount of or you're a certain size, or you're wealthy, or what have you. Do this on day 1. It's good for business, it's good for your recruitment, it's good for the community. it's a win-win situation for your business and for helping others who are less fortunate than yourselves. I strongly believe you have to weave it into the fabric of your company. It becomes a fundamental value. I do see some companies who cynically have a CSR program, but it's buried 5 layers beneath the CEO with some person in marketing who has a tiny budget, and they're just looking for a tick in the box. That doesn't work. If you bury it in your core values of your company, it will pay dividends for you. I think we need to focus on our resource consumption as well. But by just giving 5 to 10 minutes a day of each of your staff across the year and allowing them to go and spend that time on helping people who are less fortunate than we are, I think we as business and entrepreneurs can help solve some of the world's great problems that certainly the politicians cannot do just left to their own devices. Thank you for allowing me to share some of my comments on CSR with you, and be delighted to take some questions.